Hello and welcome to the Battling Barrow and another terrain crafting video. In this, I'm going to make some riverbanks. I've come up with a solution to add to my modular wilderness tiles. We're going to be making these. It's obviously not going to be a big long video, but it may give you some ideas on for your own terrain project. So let me have it explain about my thinking for why I come up with these first. So when it comes to making water, we've got a few options. We can of course make some river pieces that you can put on top of a grass board, but this is quite common back in the day, especially for wargaming. This looks okay, but normally rivers go down and not up over the ground, so there's that. Another option we could do is, and I don't have anything to hand here to show you, but you can sort of gouge into a tile. It's like we made the wilderness tiles at a 10-inch foam. You can gouge into it and then fill that with resin. That would probably look amazing, but there's still a but here, and that is normally when you make rivers, people make rivers, they kind of make them about that wide, between 4 and 6 inches, and that's more of a stream than a river. What if you want variable size? That's great if that's what you want, but what if you want a wider riverbank? Then you've got to make another whole set of tiles or what have you to accommodate this wide river. What if you don't want it to be almost half your board? Well, that's where my riverbanks come in handy, because what we can do is we can put something down to represent the river, and I might revisit this in the future to make that river, well, sort of bed thing, and it has the advantage of it having a grid on it, so even in the water you can roughly see where you are if you're interested. And what I've done in the past when I've run water encounters, and if you watch the Let's Plays of my D&D play sessions, you may have seen this. I just used to put the river tile on, so it would look something like that to a player. So all this is going to be is literally adding something here to sort of ease that transition, and this is really difficult for me to do, from ground into river. So you got these riverbed tiles that transition down onto the squares here. This would be much better, easier if I filmed this in B-roll, I feel, but that's not my style. So let's get on with the craft. For this project, we are going to be using lots of scrap pieces and offcuts and recycled pieces of foam. This is a 10mm foam. Now the first thing to do is decide on a scale, and mine is going to be 6 inches long, because that will match up with my half tiles. So I've got 6 inches half tiles, and my full tiles are 12 inches, and my full tiles are 12 inches. After that, it's decided upon the width, and I decided to make mine 1.25 inches. Not too big so it takes up too much room, but not too small that I can't do anything with it. So next, let's get these cut up. So I'm going to use my hot wire cutter to cut the pieces into 6-inch strips, and then take those strips and cut them down to 1.25 inch strips. Now these need to tessellate and form up together, so for this I'm making a little jig just out of some scrap chipboard. So I'm going to cut a piece out that is the same height as our foam, which is 10mm, and the same width, 1.25 inches, and then I'm just going to do a little diagonal from one corner to the top, and I will cut this out. Now I'll use this to mark in on either side this shape, and then when I do cutting out, as long as I do a little cut out of just that angle there, just on each side, it means when I butt these together they will match up, and any cut in between these can be whatever I want. So that is what I'm going to do now. And of course, it's at this stage I wish I could find my old hand hot wire cutter, which I can't, so I'm actually trying to do this with my tabletop, which makes it way more harder than what it needed to be. Another thing I did was cut some wider than 1.25 inches. These are about 3 inches, so I could, as long as I start them 1.25 inches wide to begin with using my jig, I can sort of go outwards as well as inwards, so I can have some real nice definition to these river banks. With all that cut out, I'm going to get some chipboard that is the same sort of width, in this case 1.25 inches, and length 6 inches, and just trace round the rough edging that I've cut out on the hot wire cutter and the foam. Then using a pair of scissors, cut the chipboard out, and then getting my hot glue gun and gluing it to the bottom to act as a bit of protection and a bit of weight for when it's on the tabletop. On to painting and flocking now. The first thing I'm going to do is undercoat it all in a sort of dark brown, a burnt umber type brown, and allow this to dry. This will just allow for, if there are any of the texture paint and flocking we'll do next doesn't cover entirely, the pink doesn't show through. And speaking of texture paint, that is what we're going to be doing next, using our homemade texture paint. There is a guide on the channel here you can look at. We're going to cover the piece in the texture paint. I find it easier to do the bank first and then cover the flat bit at the top. Getting some green flock, or whatever flock you would like, whatever matches your wilderness tiles the best, just sprinkle it on the top. It doesn't matter if any of it rolls down the riverbanks, that just looks like a nice transitional period, but really most of the riverbank should be left exposed in a mud texture. And with that done, tap the excess off, put them to one side to dry, and they're done. That's it for this video. We're going to have a quick look at them now, but before we do, I'd like to take the time to thank you for watching and supporting the channel. It means an awful lot. This was a nice, quick, easy build. This has allowed me to build some bigger stuff in the background. But for now, let's have a look. Till the next video, guys, stay safe, take care, bye bye.